Kakamega County.
Right, let's now bring in Ambassador Martin Kimani, who is Kenya's permanent representative to the United Nations, to talk to us as Kenya tomorrow is set to officially assume the presidential role at the United Nations Security Council. It is a rotational role, and Kenya will be handling it or heading it for the month of October. Thank you very much, Ambassador Kimani, for joining us here on Crossfire. Perhaps the big question among a lot of Kenyans is, what does this mean for the country?
Thank you for having me on, and good evening to all Kenyans who are listening from, and hello from New York. Well, at midnight, 1 minute past midnight, and for the next month, Kenya will be president of the United Nations Security Council, which is the most powerful United Nations body in protecting international peace and security. And what that means is that the 15 members, including Kenya, deliberate on ongoing and emerging conflicts globally and have the powers to make decisions that range from opening the country to humanitarian access, having a platform to encourage parties to come together to forge peace, and even issuing resolutions that legally bind states to abide by them, to dispatching peacekeeping forces, sometimes even being able to dispatch military forces that have the mandate to enforce peace forcefully or protect civilians or protect international peace and security forcefully. So in other words, to preside over the council for the month is a big responsibility, because you help to guide the council and its work during that month.
How do we intend to use this opportunity? What is a top priority in pushing for?
The top priority is, one, to march through the month in a way that builds as much consensus and agreement between council members as possible on how we can solve very real security problems that are affecting the globe and for Kenyans affecting our region. There are several countries in our region that are part of the countries that are under the purview of the Security Council's conflict resolution processes. Those include South Sudan, Somalia. Increasingly, even though Ethiopia is not within the Security Council agenda formally, the Security Council has been very interested in the conflict that is ongoing there. And of course, the Democratic Republic of Congo. To put it in brief, the majority of conflict situations the Security Council deals with are in Africa. And Kenya has made it its priority to safeguard African lives and to push as much as possible to ensure that there is peace and security in Africa, which we think is of direct benefit to Kenyan citizens.
I started by saying that Kenya is taking this over at a very critical juncture globally as countries continue to battle COVID-19. Among the issues that President Uhuru Kenyatta has been keen on addressing, even on the global platform, is the vaccine inequity, and especially not favoring Africa. Are we going to see a push for the equity? Are we going to see the president use this opportunity to advance this conversation on vaccine inequity?
Well, President Kenyatta has been a leader globally on calling for vaccine access and equity. And I think it's important that Kenyans understand precisely what that means. It's that African countries came together and put their trust in a global facility that was intended to provide access to all countries globally. And all countries were members of this facility called COVAX. But then what happened is that the richest countries went ahead and cut bilateral deals with the drug-making companies. And that essentially meant that this global facility was shortchanged, and it was also shortchanged of the sort of contributions and commitments that they had made but never followed through on. African countries then came together to try and build their own funding to go buy the drugs in the open market. But what happened was that even though our dollars are as green as anyone else's, there was different sorts of access given. So there were countries that were given fast access, with African countries being given less access. And now we have some countries that are giving contributions to which Kenya and other countries in Africa and the global south are grateful for, because any COVID vaccine will save a life, and so it's well received with a lot of gratitude. But that does not obviate, that does not eliminate the fact that it was not only about aid, but was really about access and ensuring that we all have an equal stake in the global system of drug purchasing in the open marketplace, which wasn't the case. So there's been a very strong push by President Kenyatta, along with other African leaders, to build alternate arrangements, which have been very successful. And you can now see the drugs in the global south increasing. And here at the UN, there's a big call, a huge part of the debate on vaccine access has been being held here in New York.
And finally, as I let you go, Kenya has been pushing for AMISOM to be part of the United Nations peace mission, and looking at the security situation in this part of the world and the Horn of Africa at large. And the refugee question continues to be a really great thorn and an issue that continues to not be resolved. Using this particular position, are we going to see an advancement of this conversation in any way?
Well, that's an ongoing debate and negotiation at the Security Council. Us, as president, we're not going to use our presidency to advance our own national position. We're going to be an honest broker, a neutral president who's driven by the interests of global peace and security. Kenya's stakes are not only our immediate national security stakes, which are the most important, but our stakes are also to ensure that the world understands that Kenya can stand and guide global affairs in a way that is responsible, that is responsive, that is empathetic and effective.
So then what would be the trickle-down effect for a common Kenyan? In less than a minute, they're wondering, this position, what would it mean for me, for my neighbor?
Well, it means when there's conflict and piracy in the high seas, the insurance that is paid for those goods means your goods cost more. When the maritime domain is safer, your goods cost less. When countries around Kenya are at greater peace, the products we make are able to be exported there and find a buying public. When you're a Kenyan looking for a job in different parts of Africa, in the Middle East, in parts of Asia, if those countries are at peace, then your degree and your certificate can earn you a job in those countries. But if those countries are at war, then you cannot tap into the opportunities there. A region that is freer, more peaceful, more secure means more money in Kenyans' wallets.
Ambassador Martin Kimani, Kenya's permanent representative to the United Nations, speaking to us live from New York as Kenya is expected to officially take over, he said, a minute after midnight tonight, to take over the presidency at the United Nations Security Council, a position that is rotational at the council. Thank you very much, Ambassador Kimani, for speaking to us here on Crossfire. I want us to quickly take a short break. We'll be back with business news and later sports news. Stay with us.